Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank Dr. Akshay Kumar for organizing these lectures during the long lockdown. I would be talking to you about the role of yoga in complex diseases and how yoga helps in promotion of health and prevention of diseases also. So what are complex diseases? These are diseases in which there is a complex interplay of a number of genes, each gene having a small additive effect, along with the effect of the environment, as well as our lifestyle. Our lifestyle plays a very, very major role in this. And we know now that the lifestyle, our eating habits, what we think, what we do on a regular basis actually impacts our DNA and regulates the output or the expression of genes. And thus, our lifestyle has a very, very major role in determining our biology and our health and disease states. And since in complex diseases, it's an interplay between the genes, environment, and our lifestyle, our dietary habits, and our social environment, it's very important that these are tackled by approaches which also have an impact on our lifestyle. For example, yoga, which is a mind-body intervention. This intervention is very, very important because in this age of super specialization, where you have a highly targeted or a specific approach to a particular disease, this yoga targets both your mind and body, and thus is able to correct and bring about homeostasis in all systems of the body. So in the last 8 years, we have been working on the impact of yoga on different complex diseases like glaucoma, unexplained male factor infertility, rheumatoid arthritis, as well as depression. And what we found from our studies are this, that be it any complex disease, they share a common underlying mechanisms. And they have shared underlying etiologies. For example, they have oxidative stress. It's a condition in which there is an imbalance between the free radicals, which are produced in excess, and the buffering capacity by the antioxidant capacity is low. So the body encounters at a cellular level oxidative stress, which damages all the biomolecules, be it proteins, be it lipids. It damages the DNA as well as the RNA. Then we also find that there is stress, anxiety, depression, which are common underlying etiologies again in complex diseases. There is persistent activation of the hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis. There is sympathetic dominance. There are shorter telomeres and dysregulated angiogenesis. And so all these factors together are going to result, these are the common underlying mechanisms which result in complex diseases. So I'll just give you some examples to highlight how yoga helps in these disorders. So the first I'll be talking about unexplained male factor infertility. We believe infertility is a problem of the female, but in approximately half the cases, the problem is actually in the male. And we find that in these cases, in unexplained cases of male infertility, all parameters are normal, means their sperm count is normal, morphology is normal, motility is normal, yet they are infertile. And when you analyze these cases, you find that they have high levels of oxidative stress. The sperm is experiencing high levels of oxidative stress, and they have high levels of DNA damage. Now, majority of these couples just go in for assisted conception or test tube babies. Now, what happens when these people go in for test tube babies? They will actually have children which will inherit this poor quality DNA, and therefore their health trajectory is going to be affected. And we've seen that oxidative stress and DNA damage are both factors which are due to our lifestyle. For example, increased intake of processed, refined food, fast food, excessive use of cell phones, smoking, alcohol consumption, psychological stress, all adversely impacts the sperm DNA by increasing oxidative stress. Oxidative stress not only impacts your genome, means it causes damage to the DNA, it increases the number of mutations that the sperm can have, the de novo germline mutation, so predisposing us to genetic disorders, but it also impacts our epigenome. And so there's an increased incidence of epigenetic disorders in the offspring. Now, in our studies, we found that when these individuals with unexplained infertility practice yoga, within 10 days of practice, their oxidative stress levels start coming down. The oxidative stress levels come down because there is an increase in the levels, the total antioxidant capacity increases because there's an increase of expression of genes which code for antioxidants. There is an increase in the expression of genes which are anti-inflammatory. In addition to that, we found that there is an increased expression of genes which code for the DNA repair enzymes. But it is important to know, but it takes a rather long time for those genes which are improving the DNA integrity to show changes, significant changes in the DNA quality. It does take about 2 spermatogenic cycles, which is about 6 months. But the DNA quality does improve, whereas the usual antioxidants are not able to reach the nucleus, except very few of them at therapeutic doses. And at very high doses, when they do reach the nucleus, that actually impairs fertilization and sperm hyperactivation. So what's very important to know is that yoga actually impacts your DNA, it impacts your genome as well as epigenome, not only improving the person's own reproductive capacity, but also improving the health of the next generation. Because people who have poor quality DNA, they have a higher incidence of children being born with some certain cancers and an increased predisposition of genetic and epigenetic disorders because there is a higher incidence of de novo germline mutations and there's dysregulation of the epigenome. So that's about the impact of yoga on male infertility. When you look at, for example, in rheumatoid arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis is a disease, it's an autoimmune disease. It's a very severe crippling disorder in which there are painful, inflamed joints. The person has a very reduced quality of life because the person is totally dependent on others to move, to do his daily activities. The joints are very painful, and it has both articular as well as extra-articular symptoms. And it's been seen that these people have very high levels of very high level of inflammation. I mean, they have inflammation, and and that is responsible for both the articular and extra-articular symptoms. And in addition to that, these people have comorbid depression. So when these people actually practice yoga, so we begin actually with loosening practices, and then they are able to do most of the asanas. We found that within a month of practice of yoga, these people had more range of flexibility of joints. There was more range of movements. They were able to perform their daily activities, so much so that people who were coming on crutches, they were able to walk on their own. They started coming independently. They were able to do their course independently without another person's assistance. And this was because when we analyzed their expression of genes, which are actually coding for the inflammatory markers, we actually find that there's a decrease in the level of various cytokines, which are actually causing articular as well as extra-articular symptoms. In addition to that, the acute phase reactants like C-reactive protein, ESR, goes down. And normally for these, you are given steroids as well as disease-modifying drugs, which have numerous side effects, and the patient compliance may be poor. But we find that with practice, the acute phase reactants, the inflammatory markers expression goes down. In addition to that, we also found that the level of anti-inflammatory genes, their expression goes up. In addition to that, there are certain families which are having this disorder. So you find that it runs in families. Now, if in such cases, the people start practicing yoga, we found that they actually may have a very mild disease. They may not even require much lower doses of the drugs, but you can actually be more emotionally resilient, and your joints are more flexible, and it helps you to be more independent. And we found that in these cases, when they had certain changes in their genes which predisposed them to have develop rheumatoid arthritis, independent of the genotype. These people showed improvement when they practiced yoga. Especially the cases which had low HLA-G levels, we found this is a non-classical HLA-G molecule. We found that these cases actually showed an increase in the expression level of HLA-G, which actually shows that these people had gone into molecular remission. So it helps you to re-establish immunological tolerance. So it's so important that even if you do have a genetic predisposition to a particular disease, but if you practice yoga, you can actually delay the onset or have a very mild disease, or you may not even, you can actually maybe even prevent the onset of the disease by practicing yoga. Then I'll talk about glaucoma. Now, glaucoma is a condition in which there is increase in the intraocular pressure. So we studied this in cases with primary open angle glaucoma. When the intraocular pressure increases, it actually causes pressure on the retina, and it causes irreversible blindness if it's not treated. Now, again, it's a condition which is associated with poor quality of life and comorbid depression, because again, they have to take lifelong drugs, and many of them require surgery. And in addition to that, you find that they are also dependent. They have constantly need a caregiver who has to manage them, and they're always a fear of becoming blind. Now, in these individuals, it was believed that the only modifiable risk factor was intraocular pressure. But recent studies had shown that, again, oxidative stress and inflammation were very big factors which actually precipitated the onset of primary open angle glaucoma. Now, in this complex disease, again, these people practiced yoga. The focus was more on breathing practices and meditation, because when they do any forward bending asanas or like Kapalbhati, when they do it vigorously, it can actually increase the intraocular pressure. So the focus was on meditation and breathing practices, which were done very gently. We found that in these individuals, the intraocular pressure actually decreased. And many of these cases, when they practiced yoga regularly, did not require surgery. And why did this happen? This happened because we found that there was an upregulation again in the genes which cause a decrease in the oxidative stress and inflammation. There was an increase in the expression of genes which were anti-inflammatory. There was an increase in the expression of genes which helped to maintain the trabecular meshwork so that the spaces in the trabecular meshwork which helped to drain the aqueous humor, they were maintained. So the pores were not clogged. But the most important thing that we found was that in these cases, in these individuals, there was increase in factors, the neurotrophic factors, which help to maintain the neurons, as for example, neuregulin and various other factors like brain-derived neurotrophic factors and DHEA, which helps to maintain the neuronal health and also helps to maintain the glial cells. We also found that there was an improvement in the mitochondrial integrity, and retinal neurons have a high number of mitochondria. An improvement in the mitochondrial integrity also results in optimal ATP levels and lower amount of free radicals. And this was the mechanism by which intraocular pressure in these individuals was reduced, and the retinal ganglion cells and the retinal neurons had better health, and this prevented the person from developing blindness. But the most important thing to remember is that these individuals need to practice yoga on a daily basis. Then I'll talk about depression. As I told you, depression is also stress, anxiety, depression are actually disease of the civilization. But as I told you, in all these complex diseases, there was comorbid depression. But in addition to that, it is seen that in these, there is depression, there could be a genetic predisposition for depression. And we also saw in this too, whether you have a risk genotype which predisposes you or increases your susceptibility to develop depression, or whether you do not have that. Yoga was able to bring about a remission in major depressive disorder individuals. In about 60% individuals, there was a remission. They had a reduced severity of depression as compared to just about 30% in people who just were on drugs and they did not do yoga. So it is important to know that people who are taking these drugs for depression, it takes a long time to see the effect of these drugs. The compliance is poor, and these people do tend to relapse. But the people who actually practice yoga, they had longer periods of remission. Their severity of depression was much lower. They were emotionally more resilient. And the reason for that was that yoga actually increased the expression level of various neurotrophic factors like brain-derived neurotrophic factor, like DHEA, which is known as the fountain of youth hormone. And these neurotrophic factors help in synaptogenesis. It helps to, these help to nourish the neurons, help to enhance our memory. So whether you have depression or not, I think if all individuals, whether you are young or whether you are old, if you practice yoga, you can increase your concentration, you can improve your attention, learning, memory. It helps you, it also improves your mitochondrial integrity. And since the neurons have high number of mitochondria, so this also decreases your level of inflammation and oxidative stress. In addition to that, we found that depression is associated, and even all these complex lifestyle diseases, since they have oxidative stress, it impacts your telomeres, which tend to become shorter faster in these individuals. So in these individuals, we find that when you practice yoga and there is decrease in the free radical levels, the telomere attrition rate goes down and there's an increase in the levels and the activity of telomerase enzyme. And therefore, in depression, you find that there is accelerated aging, and these people tend to age much faster than the rest of the population, which do not have depression, stress, and anxiety. And we find that people who practice yoga, they can actually delay the rate of aging, because not only is there an improvement in the mitochondrial health, but the cardinal markers of aging, like oxidative stress, DNA damage, telomere shortening, is slowed down. The oxidative stress levels come down. The DNA integrity improves. In addition to that, the telomerase activity goes up and also the levels. And in addition to that, you also find that sirtuins, which are histone deacetylases, these are the ones which are the guardians and which are known to be the longevity genes. And it's believed if you have 100 glasses of red wine, you can increase the expression levels of this resveratrol. And we found that independent of any intake of any red wine, you can actually increase the levels of sirtuins and thereby increase your age and delay aging. and thereby also delay the onset of many cognitive disorders as well as disorders like Alzheimer's and dementia, where inflammation plays a major role. So, what I would like to end is that there are some common etiological factors like oxidative stress, persistent activation of the hypothalamo pituitary axis, dysregulated immune system, psychological stress, which are key players in complex diseases. Our health depends upon our choices. And I think yoga is the ideal choice because it targets both your mind as well as your body, and it should be practiced regularly. Like we eat food, we should practice yoga daily. And I think in this time of this pandemic and lockdown, when there is so much stress, anxiety for our life, for our health, for the life and health of our near and dear ones, yoga is the answer. And I think it should motivate all of us. And this endeavor by Dr. Akshay to have these lectures on yoga and other fields of integrative medicine really stimulate us and motivate us to adopt a healthy lifestyle and practice yoga. Thank you.